love risks.
Well, so do I.
Yeah, matter of fact, I love wild roller coasters. The bigger, the better.
I love any ride at the amusement park, especially if it starts flipping you upside down.
And who did we marry?
People who ride the merry-go-round.
And people who prefer to just stand and eat popcorn.
Yes, they do.
But it's interesting because right from a kid, I was this adrenaline junkie. I just loved the thrill.
Okay, now that's not the reason I'm a risk taker. I think it's more because I don't want to miss out on anything.
Like, hello, you don't want to just get left there, huh?
No, in fact, I was on an island one time and a bunch of people were going to go into this bat cave, and I'm claustrophobic, and it was little and it was dark.
What do you mean bat cave? Like Batman and Robin?
No, like little flying bats.
You mean the
all
really
over
freaky
the place.
bats?
Yes.
Woo.
But I did it because I thought I may never have the opportunity and I can't miss it.
That's risky. How about this last week, though? We took our entire staff out to this ropes course. This ropes challenge course for team building.
We
were
so
40 feet up in the air, 40 feet.
So much fun. And you know what? I've done those before, but every time you did a high-risk event, you did it by yourself. And this one, we had to do it with a partner.
Yeah, and it was very interesting because as people did their challenges, you kind of entered into the spirit with them and you shared in their victories. It was awesome.
Yeah, it really parallels facing risk in relationship because I thought trust was critical.
And you know what? You had to go together. You know, you had to go the same pace with the same strategy or else it just didn't work.
Oh, and you talk about communicating. I mean, you were talking the whole time back and forth.
And remember all the people on the ground?
Yes.
What were they doing?
Oh, my favorite part. They were cheering us on.
Cheering us on, and they were holding the support ropes so we were safe.
Yes, absolutely.
But you know what? It's interesting because we're talking about relationships here. And there's such risk. And for every marriage, there's this incredible gamble just to get married.
Yes.
But if you are a child of divorce, the risk is even greater.
And that's why we're here, because we want to help you face the gamble of marriage after the run of divorce. Stay with us. I tell you, our nation has come so far, so quick. My mother got divorced in 1970, and she was ostracized. Everybody was against her, her parents, her friends. I mean, nobody did that. Now, we live in a culture of divorce. I mean, it's hard to find somebody who hasn't.
Yeah, and we are so lucky to have in this show Doctors Beverly and Tom Rodgers.
Yes.
They've written this great book, Adult Children of Divorced Parents, and the subsequent influence it has on marriages. They both come from divorced families. They're going to share their story with us as well. Welcome, Tom and Bev. Right on.
Okay, I'm telling you what, this culture of divorce has a far higher price tag than people realize, because now we've got the kids, they've grown up, and they're saying, marriage? I mean, is it worth the gamble? Can I possibly beat the odds?
And they're scared to death of it.
Yes.
In fact, we have the oldest and the largest singles population in the history of the United States right now. And we firmly believe that it's a direct result of kids growing up whose parents divorced, and they're saying, I'm scared to death to get married. But the good news is they can beat the odds against them.
Well, you guys did.
Yeah, we did.
Now we're going to get to that. But we know in your research in your book that divorce actually breeds divorce.
Like a cycle?
Well, it's exactly that. In the U.S., about 55% of people divorce. In Canada, it's about 40%. Interesting, though, children of divorce jump up another half to 75% end up getting divorced. That is quite a statistic.
It's a big, and it scared us to death. It actually scared us to death because we were, like you were talking about your mom, we were like a handful of kids whose parents had divorced on our campus when we met one another. And we kept hearing all these negative statistics, and we were scared to death. And we just made a commitment that we would do whatever it took.
Oh, Bev, I remember saying I would rather be struck with lightning than be walking down the aisle heading for a divorce.
Oh, absolutely.
Now listen, Tom, I got to ask something, though. This fatalistic mindset that gets picked up with these kids whose parents go through divorce, how do they get over that?
Well, it's difficult, Dave. It really is. In fact, the odds are if both people come from divorced homes, it's actually about 85% chance that we'll end up in divorce. So I think it's something that's very difficult because I think we internalize that whole process. It's very interesting when mom and dad divorce. what that does to kids is it creates a deep insecurity in them. And insecurity is this feeling that I'm not safe, I'm not connected.
Right. Nothing's stable.
Right. And they will take that into their own relationships.
Okay, but let's talk about the mom and dad, because our culture loves to blame everybody else. I mean, can we really blame this all on mom and dad?
Well, I mean, we say blame is not our game. The goal is not to go hunting for parents. But I do think that mom and dad need to take responsibility for the fact that their divorce has caused their children some pain and some struggle, and to prepare them for relationships in the future so that they can guide them and show them, yes, you can succeed. Even though we did not, you can succeed in your relationship.
Okay, on one hand, though, you got people saying, okay, we shouldn't blame parents. But you got a lot of people saying they deny that there's been an influence, right? Oh, it's okay, my parents, they messed it up, but it won't bother me. How do you get them past that?
Well, it's been very interesting, Dave. The research early on in the 70s when our parents divorced and all that was very slanted in a way to kind of match the culture. You know, divorce is not something that kids cannot overcome. They will do relatively fine.
This kids are resilient theory.
Yes.
What we found in the 80s and 90s is that exactly opposite of that is true. That many times kids are impacted for the rest of their lives. And I think what we have to help them do is understand, number one, that the divorce is not about them. It's not a reflection of who they are, because their self-esteem is going to take a hit nearly every time.
Okay, as a child of divorce, we all know that is not what a kid is thinking.
Right.
They're thinking, if I would have been better, or if
the
I'd have been the
time.
right kid, this
All
would
the
not be
time.
happening.
Well, not only that, but if I can do better. You know, I was a real performer as a child growing up, and I wanted to be the best son, the best student, the best athlete I could possibly be, thinking that if I could in some way, you know, aspire to that, then I would keep mom and dad together.
Yeah, I could make up the difference and they'd maybe love again.
And I think what we have to understand initially is that kids are powerless to deal with mom and dad's relationship with one another.
Okay, but who's going to be telling that to the kids? Because like you said, well, mom and dad can start helping them face their own future relationships. I'm sorry, usually when moms and dads are divorcing, they're messed up, and they are not.
They're focused on their own pain.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. And there's so many things that moms and dads can do and should do, like not get the kids involved in the middle, like not trashing each other to their children.
And using them as the little pawn. And, yes.
But it happens. It happens. And I think sometimes it's going to take an outside source, like a counselor or a teacher, to say, hold on, wait a second. There are some scars there. You need to look at those scars and deal with them.
Okay, now listen. I want the people listening. I want you all here to understand. 3 people went through divorce as kids, okay? Give me a snapshot. You know, start with Bev, Tom, then Christy. What age were you? Who left who? And how did it make you feel looking to your own marriage? Go.
Oh, it's tough because we have what we call 2 different kinds of divorces. There's the high conflict divorce and then the low conflict divorce.
What was yours?
Mine was high conflict.
How old were you?
I was 5 years old, knocked down, drag out, redneck fights.
Oh, my.
And it was tough. Even though they fought, I still did not want them to separate or divorce.
Okay, what about going to the future? How did it affect going to
Well, I
marriage?
thought it was great until I met him, until I really fell for
Till I
somebody.
had a relationship.
It was my fault, yeah.
Okay, let's go with you. How old were you and what happened?
Well, I was 25 when my folks divorced, but they had been in a desperate situation for probably a decade before that. So, and I was privy to that too. I was involved in all that. My dad was unfaithful to my mother many, many times. I caught him 3 times myself with other women as a young man. I mean, that was
So how did that
devastating.
affect you going into marriage?
Oh my gosh, I mean, my ability to trust in relationships was shot.
Okay, Christy, let's go.
Well, there were 3. So
3 divorces?
Yes, 6, 20, and about 29. And my mother filed for all 3 for different reasons. And you should know how it was when I was scared about getting married, because I actually went to him as a professor and counselor, and I said, I want a formula or I want a guarantee. Absolutely, will this marriage be successful? And what did you say?
Well, I remember that. I said to Christy as a student, I said, you know what? I can't give you a guarantee, but I can give you some guidelines, but I can't give you a guarantee.
And those guidelines about having that hope that you can make marriage successful, at our website, we have what we call an ACODP questionnaire right out of their book.
Yes.
Okay? And it's great discussion starters between you and your spouse. So go to the website and stay with us.